Hi Quilters, today's show is all about sewing together the top for the dart around the glorified 9-patch AQS AccuQuilt-Along.
Stay tuned to join in the fun.
Diets that I like them.
That's the one.
Hi Quilters, I'm Pam Heller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert.
And I'm Erica Botker, AccuQuilt's creativity expert.
All right, Quilters, welcome to part 3 of the Go Dart Around the Glorified 9-Patch AQS and AccuQuilt-Along. Today we're going to show you how to sew together the blocks that we've made to finish our tops. We're going to sew them in rows.
Yes, we are. We'll also be talking about quilting and binding. Plus, we'll have live question and answer all throughout the show with AccuQuilt's production coordinator, the one and only Brock Workman, as our moderator.
All right.
He's also in charge of sound effects.
He is. Be sure and ask any questions you have in the comments section for wherever you stream our show, and then Brock will relay them to us.
That's right. Woohoo! Now, Quilters, in case you missed it, the first show for the Quilt-Along series was the introduction, way back, it seems, on September 20th. Isn't it? We went over how to select your fabric for the project. We talked about the glorified 9-patch die and using that, or the traditional rotary cutting directions written by our friends at AQS and appearing in both of our blogs that day.
All right, Quilters, it's really beneficial to watch that show before you start on the project. Be sure to check it out. It's on our video gallery on the AccuQuilt Facebook page or the YouTube pages or our website. Now, we kept the fun going with our first show on making the project on October 4th as we cut and organized our pieces. Then just last week on October 11th, we learned how to sew the blocks together. And listen, gentle curves. We talked about pinning and gluing, and it just really goes together easy.
It did. Now, you can go back and watch those shows too if you're just getting started. Plus, I've got blog posts each of those days going over those same steps as well. Now, because this is a sew-along, we hope you've also joined the AQS Quilting Project Parade Facebook group and are posting pictures of your projects there using hashtag AQSews as we keep inspiring each other. And really, this has been so fun. And we've seen so many of you posting that, oh, this isn't that, this is a fun block. I get it. This isn't that hard. And
it's not that hard.
It really isn't. And it's a real showstopper block, and it just makes that fun circular design. And
Yep. All right, and since this is sew along, I have snacks and soda.
That's right.
All right, but let's start by taking a look at our blocks that we put together last week. Now, Quilters, don't panic if you don't have all your blocks done yet. This isn't a race. It's just a sew along. So
there you go.
I actually did 3 colorways, so I'm actually just going to show a row that I have sewn together.
Oh, look at you working ahead.
Well, I think I need to.
Here,
so
I'll hold.
There we go. So this was just my colorway that I used. This is Moda Fabric by Corey Yoder. It's called Buttercup and Slate. And I had half-yard cuts of it. And so I just determined which would be my shape A and which would be which are the center and the outside, A and C, and then B. And then Eric and I both are just using plain white as our background.
That's right. Now, are you going to alternate, or how are you?
Yes. In fact, I just realized.
Design, or?
Yes, I just realized I pulled it out of order, so I will do that.
Oh dear.
So yes, we're always going to start with yellow, green, and or yellow, black, and green, or I don't know.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Behind us on the wall are mine. Now you'll notice conspicuously that one block is missing.
This is so funny.
Because I now remember, now that I am here at the studio, that I lost one of the pieces, one of the curved corner pieces, and had to cut out another. I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it fell on the floor, or it got stuck to the dog's foot, or it fell in something. I'm sure it's there. But I'm going to quit looking for it and cut another one. I forgot about that when I was packing this all up Monday night and brought it in minus 1 block. So clearly I will not be able to finish sewing all of my rows together. But Mr. Greg on our team was helpful and
did a great
did
job.
a great layout for me, so we don't have to, like fuss about how I'm laying these out because it was bugging me. He's taken all that worry out for me.
Yep.
So you do need to decide the order of your blocks,
You do.
right? And the pattern calls for 9 blocks, 3 rows of 3.
Right.
Now, I've decided to go with 4 rows of 4, making 16 blocks, which currently, as you can see, is 15 blocks.
Right.
And Pam, you went with 4 rows of 5 rows of 4, right?
So 20 blocks.
So 20 blocks.
Because when I was doing the math and those, because I had half-yard cuts.
Right.
There was just enough to do 20. So that's 7 blocks of each of the fabrics. So that's what I did. And it was great because then I have some extra yardage that I'm going to probably use as borders.
Sometimes that's how we make our design decisions, right, quilters?
Yep. All right, but we are ready to sew some together. So Erica,
Okay.
do you want to go up and
Yeah, so
grab yours
I had 2 sewn together. So let's see, I've got these 2 are already sewn together. So I'm gonna sew these 2 together, sew them to this to get my first row done. Pam, what are you gonna do?
Gosh, I don't know. Now I got to figure out where
She's gotta figure out where she is. Okay.
Yes, hold please. Oh, here. And here's a fun thing that I like to do as I lay out my rows. In the corner, I'm going to put a little sticky note. I love a good sticky note.
Oh, yes,
That
indeed.
says 1, 2, 3,
Oh, that's a great
4,
plan.
5, so I know which row that it is because I then believe that this is correct.
Now I'm gonna, because I know this is the top row, I think I'm gonna backstitch a little bit because nothing makes me crazier. Oh, it's kind of stuck. Nothing makes me crazier. I need a leader.
You do.
Um,
Can I borrow a pen?
Scraps?
No, I just need a pen.
Okay.
The Incredipen. All right, so while we're
I need a scrap.
This is the super pen. Okay, so before we get, what do you need?
I need a scrap. Here, you talk about the super pen. You do your thing. I'm gonna get a scrap because I need a leader for this.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna my
Oh, look, we have
pattern
scraps on
is
set.
yellow, shape A, the center. So yellow, gray, green, yellow, gray, green, yellow, gray. So the next row would have green. And while we're doing this, Mr. Brock, do we have any questions or comments or what's happening over there?
We do have a question that has come in from Deborah, and she is in need of some help. She says, can you please tell us how to eliminate the bulk as you join the rows together? I've tried almost everything.
Yeah, there's just going to be bulk, and we're going to tell you when we put those rows together, we're actually going to tell you to press those seams open because right here where these blocks come together, there's like 5 rows of fabric or 5 layers of fabric. So we're going to tell you to press your seams open because that's the thing. And don't get too stressed about it.
Right.
I like the fact that when I made mine the first time, it's a learning curve, no pun intended with
Right.
curves. So I just did a great job. And then, you know what? I did stitch in the ditch, and then I washed it, and now it's perfect.
So I've got my 2 and 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna put these 2 together. So I'm matching it up. Now, what I went to find was a scrap of fabric to be a leader because a lot of that bulk that we discussed, wait, Greg's over here, is right here on the corner, right where we're getting started. And so having that leader to help me get started is gonna be helpful. So that's what I'm doing. If I had all my rows here and I was chain piecing, once I got started, I'd be good to go. Does that make sense to everybody?
It does.
Okay.
I'm just standing here doing math in my head.
Ooh, everyone stand back. She's doing
Well, yes. Okay. You're all good.
Is our iron on? I'm gonna
Oh gosh, we'll turn it on.
Okay, we want a
All right,
nice
so do we have other questions, Brock, while I'm contemplating what I'm doing here?
Yes, Peggy did ask the question of what you had in your hand a moment ago, which
Oh.
I believe she's referring to Super Pen.
Super pen.
Yes. Not to be confused with the Incredipen. Right?
That is correct. The Incredipen is much more incredible.
These are the things that the team does. We have a very creative team, and they must be kept busy at all times. Okay, I'm going to come get my second row down.
Okay.
So, Erica, while you're back there, I think we have a question that you might be able to
Yes.
answer. So, Pamela Owens had the question of, would you be able to put in sashing between the blocks?
You know, you absolutely can. Now, it's going to change the look up just a little bit because we've got this circular, it's going to stretch that. So if let's just look, if I pull this out,
See, I already sewed my row together wrong, and we're only 11 minutes into the show.
it's going to stretch that, it's going to make this a little bit more elliptical than just an oval. But that would be a way, if it's really making you crazy working with the bulk on that, putting even a small sashing in might help you feel better about life. And if it does, do it, because there's no quilt police, and you can do it however you want.
Indeed.
Would it make how big of a difference between the size of strips you would put in between for the sashing?
You know, that's really a personal matter. I don't think you're going to be happy sewing with anything less than something starting at 1.5 inches. But I think 1.5 inches to maybe
2.5.
1.5 to 2.5 inches wide, anywhere in that vicinity would work for you.
This is how you know it's live TV or live show, because I am pulling out stitches because I sewed my row together wrong.
And if you go on the AQS Quilting Project Parade, somebody did that. And I'm trying to remember the name of the quilter, and I don't off the top of my head.
Okay, so if you're watching and you added a sashing between your blocks, please tell us what size sashing you used.
Yes, because there is an example of that up there that somebody did. So, and if you haven't joined that group yet, you really should, because it's a fun group.
It's a fun group.
And it's a supportive, it's a safe place, quilters. It's a safe, supportive place to go and to,
People are going to tell you what a good job you did.
yeah.
And here's my big pro tip about that. Don't tell us what mistakes you made in your quilt, because you know what? We're not going to know. So just go in and say,
Very true, that's
isn't
very
this
true.
fabulous? And we will say, yes, yes, it is fabulous.
But if you need somebody to commiserate with you because you, like Miss Pam, are sitting here unsewing, that group will do that too.
It's true.
Now, I am going to press, you know, Pam and I both love to nest our seams. But because of the bulk in this, I've revised my
You're pressing.
pressing preference for this project to press it.
Well, it just
Open.
allows you to then put the rows together and find those little points together.
Right.
And like I said, if those little points just aren't perfect right there next to you, it's okay. Just kind of manipulate that, and
Right.
it's going to be great.
It'll all quilt out in the end, as we like to say.
Okay, Mr. Brock, do we have questions or comments or people? I hope somebody else is sitting here watching our show pulling out stitches. That's currently what I am doing. I should not say this, but I haven't pulled out stitches in a long time.
Oh,
I know,
you
I
are,
feel like
you
I've
are
just jinxed my whole.
you are just asking the universe to interfere in your
know.
sewing.
I know.
That is just asking for it.
Okay, Mr. Brock?
Cindy has the question of if one or either of you will be making any trips coming up, particularly to the Texas-Houston region.
Yes.
Well, as a matter of fact, we both will be going, but not together.
This is true.
This is true. So I will be down in Houston. I will be Friday, October 27th, leaving on Tuesday, whatever that following Tuesday is.
Halloween.
Halloween, because I will be there for Quilt Market working with our retailers. So if you didn't know before, I will tell you now, my first 8 years that I was with AccuQuilt, I worked with our retailers. I was the senior account manager for working with wholesale and our retailers that sell our product. So I'm going to be going down with that team to talk to retailers, and I'm super excited because I haven't gotten to be at market since 2019. Of course, there were a couple years there where there wasn't any market.
Right.
So I'm super excited to be going back and seeing retailers then. But market is a credentialed show, so you have to be like a credentialed retailer,
Sounds so fancy,
Or-
doesn't it? Right?
a writer or designer to be there. So I won't be seeing all of you probably there, but Pam, you're gonna see
Kenyon and I
quilters.
have no credentials, so we will be just causing such a ruckus on Thursday at the Be So In booth. We're going to do a meet and greet at 11 a.m. just outside the booth. And Be So In is our retailer that is hosting all of our AccuQuilt product at the show. You're going to see Barbara Harper is going to be there. We're just going to have a great time. So, and then I'll just be, me and Kenyon, just going to be walking around the show. So if you are coming to festival, look for us. We would love to say hello.
And what day are you gonna be there?
Thursday,
Thursday.
just one day. We're going to do a show Wednesday. We're going to do Carolina Moore's new box bag die. We're going to do a little show on that.
Okay.
And then Kenyon and I are going to go get on a plane, and we're going to go to Houston, and we'll be there Thursday, and then we're coming back on Friday. So just a quick trip, but excited to see all of our people.
Yeah, we really are.
Did that answer your question? Yes, I would hope so. Green, yellow. Here we go.
We do get to go on a trip together though this Sunday. So we are going to be in Wisconsin
And
this upcoming Monday and Tuesday.
Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Yes, on Monday we're going to be in Waukesha, Wisconsin. We're going to be doing a class Monday afternoon at So Much More in Waukesha.
And you need to call the store to get registered for that event.
That is true. That
And
is
then
so true.
Wednesday, we're going to be at Arrow.
No, Tuesday.
Or Tuesday, we're going to be at Arrow in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. And we're going to talk about things you need for your ultimate sewing studio. We're going to hang out with the folks there. And then we're coming home.
Yeah.
So it's a fun, quick trip this weekend. So if you live in Wisconsin, we'd love to see you.
In the Waukesha area. Kind of because
Yeah,
it's fun to say Waukesha.
Yeah, and I don't know what's in the Waukesha area, but we're going to go have a good time.
Well, So Much More is a great store, and I know that that class has been filling very quickly, so.
Yes. Okay, now I have taken my stitches out and re-sewn some stuff.
Resewn some stuff?
Yeah.
Just some stuff, huh?
Yep. All right, yeah, just some stuff. Mr. Brock, do we have people asking questions?
That we do.
Okay.
One question of what kind of foot you're using, Pam, on the machine?
I am using a 1/4 inch foot, but I am also using a walking foot, which is right here behind. It just helps all of the fabric come together perfectly. I'll move so Greg can get a good shot at it. Right there. Engage your walking feet, quilters.
Now that is a
helps.
feature that comes built in with a FAF. It's called the IDT system. It's not, it's similar to, it performs like a walking foot.
Another question we have that you
I
can
thought it
answer
was a
real
walking foot. Apologies.
Well, it's like a walking foot. It's just not a whole separate walking foot.
Okay. I'm just sewing rows together, folks. Okay. Mr. Brock?
I've got 2 walking feet, but maybe that's just me.
But bum.
Yeah, where's the sound effects when you
Oh,
need
the
them?
clever boy. Okay.
Yes, go ahead. There you go.
to get to it. We've had a couple people ask about the design wall.
Yes.
The mat on the back, if you could
Yes.
walk people through that a little bit.
Yes. It is, you can find it on the A to Z store or from your local quilt shop. And here's what it is. It's super cool. It's a Fons and Porter, our good friends at Fons and Porter, and it has flannel, felty stuff. So you don't have to use pins. You can just lay your pieces up here. It has tabs across the top. So in my sewing room, I have hooks that mine lay on, because then when you want it to take it down. But honestly, in my sewing room, I never take it down because I'm always working on projects. But they're really very inexpensive, and they're really great.
Now, I have one too. And then on the back side of it that you don't see, it's got that grid printed so that you see that grid through, and it can help you line things up. But the other nice thing about it is that the back side is a vinyl. And so that vinyl means that if you want to like roll it up, then you can unroll it, like to move it to be next to your sewing machine, then you can unroll it and it won't stick to the backing because it's only the sticky flannel on one side. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
But I feel like if you have one, you will never take it down.
You will never take it down. I have mine is up with command hooks.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got my first 2 rows sewn together, and now I'm gonna sew these 2 rows.
You should totally sew rows.
But this is where I'm gonna pin.
And Erica and I am also going to press my seams open so that I can sew my rows together, okay? So we're just gonna sew for a minute. Brock, do we have any questions, sweetie?
So there is like a mosh pit of people in the comments who are fighting over you guys. They want you to come to everywhere they are.
Excellent.
Let us know where that is. And we love knowing where everybody is and where it would be popular for us to go to.
So we've got a few of those locations. Cindy S. Wants you guys to know that she'd like to see you in the greater Chicago area sometime soon.
I would go to Chicago tomorrow. I love
Anytime.
Chicago.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of calls for the upper northeast in the New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island.
Oh, you know, we have a lot of fun
we have a lot of fun up there.
Baltimore and
Philadelphia.
Delaware and Philadelphia, and we were eyeing Boston, but we didn't make it there this month.
Okay, where else?
And then Dolores wants you up in the central Washington area.
Listen, Dolores, my niece lives in Chelan. I could totally come there. I think that'd be great.
And I'd be happy to go too.
Yeah, that would be fun. Huh. Okay.
Good to know.
Good things
Good
to
to
know.
know.
Because we are looking at the new year. Hard to believe that it's almost 2024.
That's right. Well, and here's a thought. Now we posed the question when we were live at a store on our last trip about what quilters would like to see us do for the Quilt-Alongs next year, because we haven't, I think we've officially announced that we're going to be doing 5 more Quilt-Alongs with AQS next year. And I think that the first one will probably kick off in February. That seems like about
true?
the right cadence.
Yeah, that works.
I think that works. Anyway, we'll double check our calendar. So we were getting suggestions from quilters on what they would like to see us do for the Quilt-Alongs.
And one of them was, we really thought this was a great idea. This is the Go Tangled Star, which is one of our favorite bobs.
So I think that might, we'll see.
feel like that might
I feel
make
like
it-
that's a strong contender.
That might make it to the top. We only get to do 5 quilters, so
That's right.
you could let us know in the comments section. That would be great, because we'll go back and look at
You
this
like
show.
Bobs, do you like cube patterns? Do
Yeah.
you like,
Those are our only 2 choices.
those are only 2 choices. Yeah, I guess they really are. Do you want us to include something with applique on it? See? It
Okay.
could be one of those two things with applique on
Okay,
it.
that's fair.
Or what else would you like to see us do?
I personally just want to see all of our appliques in Halloween costumes and make a whole quilt of just like flamingos and penguins and gnomes and all of the
Seriously.
things.
If you all have not, anybody, whether or not you have an embroidery machine, pop onto the website and check out all of the great Halloween embroidery that we've got there.
They're super
They're
cute.
so cute.
There's like witchies and, oh gosh.
Now, quilters, if you've noticed while I'm sewing, I'm going slowly over where those seams meet because again, there's a lot of bulk there.
And I assume Erica did this, but I backstitch when I'm sewing my blocks together to make those rows
Yes, yes.
because you don't want it.
Actually, have a quick question about the bulk again.
Yes.
Rose asks, pressing seams open will reduce the bulk, but does the flow of the curve keep seams closed?
So I'm going to tell you the flow of the curve. Here, can we show this, Greg?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh gosh, don't mess up my rows there. Luckily, I have put numbers on them. Okay, so this is one that I made for Oakley a couple of years ago. And notice that when I put them together, I for sure press my seams open. And so you don't lose that flow because you're going to get them right here as it goes together. I just think it's great. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, it's grunge. Imagine that.
I love that one.
And it has a flange binding, which we'll talk about here in just a
Yeah,
few
we're going to
minutes.
talk about binding and quilting and all those things. You've kind
Flange
of,
binding, you just need two different dies. You need a 1 3/4 cut and a 1.5 inch cut. And we have lots of videos on our website on how to make flange binding, but oh, I do love it. I just think it gives it such a pop of color. Erica, do you not love this purpley?
I do.
Gosh.
I do. You know
Way
how
to
I
go,
feel.
Moda. Way to go, Moda, for making beautiful things.
Kind of match that outer.
Kind of we do.
Don't we?
Kind of we do. All right. Erica, how you doing on your rows? And
I'm doing good. I'm going to stop because, as you know, I can't finish my last row.
Right.
'Cause I have to go home.
okay,
and
well then let
cut out
us
another
move
piece.
on and talk
So-
about some borders and stuff that we might
Okay.
want to do.
So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. I've got, and put this back up so we can see how it looks. I haven't pressed this one, but that's all right.
Okay,
All right,
go for it.
go for it. Okay. So this one I haven't sewed on yet. I think I put that in the right order.
It's all about the order.
All about the order. How often do you get to your sewing machine, quilters, and there's an issue?
Well, for sure, right?
You know?
Brock, do you have a favorite die that you would like us to use in the Quilt-Along next year? You have
Oh.
some input.
They're all my favorite.
Oh gosh.
Oh, Brock Workman.
Listen, we have Nerf guns. I need to find one. No, seriously.
Correction. I have Nerf guns.
Okay, well,
there we go.
I feel like we should arm ourselves with Nerf guns. No, seriously. Like, do you have your mom is a quilter.
She is.
She is an amazing quilter. Does your mom have a favorite die that she's used more than once that maybe we should use? Maybe we should ask Mama Brock.
Not Bob dies. She's
Okay.
used a lot of the setting triangles and strip cutters that I've gotten her over the years. So
Okay.
obviously those that you would use multiple times, but
Right.
not for quilt projects. She's made a lot of bowl cozies and she's made
For days.
pin cushiony things.
Those are great. Those are great.
Well, someone did suggest that we do like a table runner. The problem is you could do a table runner in like a day. We really
Right. You
need
all
bigger
are so quick.
we just need bigger projects to kind of
Keep the fun going.
keep, there. Keep the fun going. All right, so while I press my seams
All right,
open.
you press away. Here, I'll move the pins out of your space. So I've got some of those rows together, but once you have all of your rows together, however many you've decided to use.
Yeah, you could do a bunch. You could do the 9.
Yeah. The pattern calls for border strips to be cut at 4.5 inches. And of course, Pam and I are going to be using our strip dies to do that.
Yes.
And I'm going to go ahead and do cut mine at 4.5 inches. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to cut mine at 4.5 inches. So this is what it looks like. The pattern tells you to use the background color,
Yes.
and which I think is great because it's grunge. But I kind of wanted to talk about that for a minute because in my half-yard cuts,
Yes.
I had quite a bit of like the ones that I cut from shape B.
Oh.
But I don't have enough to cut 4.5-inch strips, you know, enough to cut them.
Okay.
So I was trying to decide if maybe what I should do is make 4.5-inch strips, cut them, and make it scrappy with these 3 colors. But what do you think, Erica?
Well, that's
See,
a
look.
possibility. I was thinking too of doing like maybe a 2.5-inch cut strip of the white, your background, the white, and then doing either a scrappy border or something pieced with the other colors.
Oh, so you would have
kind of-
2
so
borders.
you'd kind of have 2 borders, but you'd have the first border to just kind of set off the design a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you could have that something else, but you've also got a great stripe to bind it with. And you don't want it competing for energy and
Look at this stripe binding for the win.
that's gonna be super
Thank
fun.
you, Corey Yoder, for being
Yes.
brilliant in designing stripe binding for the win. So I like the idea of maybe just doing a solid of the background, which is white, and then making a wide, because I have enough to cut at least 1 or 2 strips, you know, of 4.5 inches from
Right.
each of those.
And you could cut it down if you wanted to have it
I could.
scrappier. You could cut those scraps down into,
We could measure this and see.
know.
We could measure this and see.
we could look and see how much she's got.
So I have 6 inches.
Or you could do squares. One of our quilters I saw on the Facebook group had done either like piano keys or squares.
Oh, she done squares. I had seen that.
Around the outer border.
That's a great idea.
So that's another
That's a
idea.
great idea.
I mean, there's a die for that, Pam.
All of them. Okay. And quilters, we cannot wait to see how you decide to border your quilts.
That's right.
But I am doing like that skinny, maybe I'll do a skinny and a wider.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna, the main thing, however you decide to do your border strips, is that you have to do some measuring. But let's ask Brock if we've got questions
Yes.
first before we jump into that.
So we're caught up on questions, but you guys sure opened a can of worms with the suggestions for next year's quilt along.
Sweet. Okay, here we go. We're ready.
We're such rabble rousers.
Just gonna throw these out there. So I've seen a few people calling for the snail's trail to be used.
Hold, please.
Oh, speaking of,
It's almost like I set
wait,
that up
she's
perfectly.
gonna hijack the show
I
again.
totally am. Okay, so last week we talked about Halloween, and I have to give total props to Cotton and Joy. They're on Instagram because they were the first ones that I saw that made this. I used the Go Big Snails Trail to make this super cute lollipop for Halloween. And I told Erica, I said, we should totally do it in red and white and green, or red and white for
Yes,
Christmas.
Christmas. Wouldn't that
But
be adorable?
The striped orange for the win, and the little gingerbread man glow in the dark.
Yes.
Mr. Ray did not know that. And I had it.
Did it startle him?
It did, because he went into the sewing room and it was very dark and there were little skeletons hanging out there. And he said, "What is happening?" And I said, "Oh, the lovely Erica gave this to me." So it was a great scrap buster. So I like the idea of a snail's trail. Thank you, Brock, for letting me talk.
Of course, of course.
Set her right up for that.
I know he did. He's
We've
good.
had a lot of people wanting to potentially use a cube to make like a sampler cube project.
Oh, that's a great
Oh, we could do that. There's a pattern for that, I'm sure.
idea. Yeah.
Right?
let's see, Storm at Sea is getting a lot of love.
Storm at Sea, I have not done one in a while, and I am jonesing to do one.
Are ya?
I'm jonesing to do it in like a completely different colorway than blues.
Well, you can get so many different looks using with Storm at Sea, depending on your fabric placement. That's a great idea.
Storm at Sea, okay. I'm adding that one, okay.
And a couple of people have also asked for any project that is done on point that would have to use setting triangles.
Oh, we can totally do that.
Ah.
We can totally do that.
And see, Cheryl would say says maybe something incorporating Adidas Satari Serendipity Cube.
Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
Something that we haven't always
Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about. Yeah.
Ah. I
Okay.
love that.
Let's see, this double wedding rings is getting some of Joseph's coat and signature circles, one of our
Oh,
newer
yeah?
ones.
Totally want to do a
See,
signature.
now we dragged you in, kicking and screaming into doing curves, and now you're enjoying it, aren't you, Quilter?
Now you're like, oh, wait, I can do curves. They're gentle. Okay. I like the signature circles.
This is a great idea.
She was just with us on the show yesterday.
Yeah, Brianna Roberts, who
Brianna
designed one of the projects with that.
That is my favorite. It looks like
favorite project,
amoebas
that.
because I did not know Brianna Roberts was like a school teacher who did science.
Right.
Now it all makes sense.
Or a lava lamp.
All
It
makes
kinda looked
sense.
like a lava lamp. Yeah, so she was with us on yesterday's show.
Okay.
But borders, however you're going to make them, be sure you do what, Pam?
Oh, measure, measure, measure. So you want to measure your quilt on either side of the row and then the middle.
Yes.
And then you want to cut your strips the same. So the top strip is going to be the same size as the bottom strip.
Yep.
And then the side strips are going to be the same on both sides.
Right.
Because if you just sew it on and then just lop it off, it is not going to square up.
And the other side
Ask
of
us
doing
how we
that,
know.
the other part of doing that is that you're going to take your quilt then and you're going to take your quilt and find the center point on that side and the quarter points, so you've got either end, the middle, and halfway between the middle and the end. And do the same with your border. Use your pins. Use your pins, like these cute little ones we have on the website with the polka dotted pin cushion that I love.
Yeah.
And
It's not Kenyon's favorite.
I'm sorry, Ken.
Well, it's only because I dropped it.
Oh, okay. But it's a magnet. Didn't you just?
I told
pick 'em
him
up?
that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do the same thing with your border strip. Match those pins up, match those points up, so you can, if you've got extra bulk or whatever you're easing in, you can do that. That's going to ensure that your quilt is not wonky. It's going to keep it squared up, and so it'll lay flat.
And if you quilt it yourself, you're going to be super happy. If you take it to someone,
They'll be super happy.
they'll be super happy.
And you're going to be happier with your end result. So the next thing that we do, and you let us right into that.
I
is the
love it when
quilting.
that works.
Whether you're going to quilt it yourself or whether you're going to take it to somebody to quilt, we've got a couple examples of quilting in front of us. So, Pam, when you did yours, and we can
watch
probably
out, that
see it
iron is
better.
so hot.
I'm looking on the back.
let's look.
You just stitched in the ditch, really,
did.
around this shape.
Right. So I'll hold it up and you can
It's
see.
kind of minimal quilting.
It was. I did the row, I did the border, and then, I just did stitching in the ditch. And it worked out beautifully. I did it on my domestic machine. And I wanted it to be kind of poofy because it was for the Oakley bug.
Well, and when you make things for curling up for kids, you don't want to over quilt because then they can get stiff.
No.
Now, this is a great example of an overall design that was quilted on this. And this was, I'm sure, done on a long arm by somebody and who made this sample for us. And
Yeah.
we can flip it over and show you the back.
So lots of different ways to just do it.
I'm thinking I'm going to quilt mine myself because I haven't quilted anything for a while. I've been taking everything off to Mr. Ron to quilt. But I think I'm going to shadow quilt this. So I'm going to, instead of doing stitch in the ditch, I think I'm going to do like a 1/4 inch or so off and then do inside.
Oh, that's a good idea.
do a shadow quilt inside that center block.
Yeah, this is a perfect quilt to just be doing your own quilting it on.
Now, I do have tendency to, I have a density issue. I tend to over quilt sometimes when I do my quilts. So I have to really fight to pull myself back. But however you want to do it, it's going to be great. And don't worry, you can always be like the one and only Eleanor Burns and quilt by check.
She does. That's how she does it. She just quilts by check. She
Likes
is
the
a quilter.
piecing.
She does.
Don't like the quilting? Let somebody else do it for
Yeah.
you.
All right, Brock, do we have more questions?
Yes, Carrie
Hi, Carrie.
Mahoney had the question, is it better to use wide and then thin border or the other way around? Does one
I
way
tend
usually
to-
look better?
I have a tendency to use a thin border and then a fat border.
If you're using multiple borders, I start small and work up. So
It's
whether
like your workout program.
yeah.
Start small and then go to a big,
work
heavy
up.
work one. Yeah.
Any other questions? The analogy
thought
got
that
him,
was-
Pam.
I
The
thought that was-
analogy got him.
Thought that was the best analogy.
We rarely,
Start
quilters,
small.
we rarely see Brock speechless, and it just happened. So
Start small.
put a star on the calendar.
I was speechless not because of what you said, because of what I held off saying.
Oh,
What did
okay.
you hold off saying?
I'm not going to say it.
You can't say it.
But what I will say is another question from one of our viewers.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Somebody was asking about that magnetic pin cushion thing.
Yes.
Are the tops of the pins, are they glass heads, and does the cushion come apart to store the pins?
Yes, I believe they are glass heads, and it looks like it comes apart, but
It does not.
it does not.
It does not.
It
I've
does
tried
not.
it 100 times.
It just looks like this.
Every time I keep thinking, oh, it comes apart. It does not.
It does not.
But they're super cute. And mostly, I like the teal
We really do.
pin cushion.
It's super cute. It's my color. This is my color now. I'm going with this.
Is that your color forever?
No, it's just I'm going through a phase.
She's going through a teal
I'm
phase.
going through a teal phase.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, I'm just pressing seams
Just
open.
keep pressing. We're going to talk binding next, right?
Yes.
Now, you go ahead, plan to bind, whatever your favorite binding method is. Now, Pam, we've already talked about how we love this flange binding on the one
Yes.
Pam made previously, but how you're going to use your stripe fabric.
And I am going to cut typical 2.5-inch strips.
Yep.
I am going to sew it to the back. I'm going to bring it to the front. And I'm going to use a decorative stitch from my machine to quilt that down.
Okay.
You could totally do 2.5. You know, Ray and I are going on a trip soon where I'm going to be.
You don't want to hand
I
finish
was
that.
just thinking that because I'm going to be in the car for many hours.
See?
Ray and I are going to go travel here, so I might do that. I
Yeah.
might do 2.5 inches and call it good.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do a scrappy binding.
Oh, show him.
And so I started, because as I was cutting my scraps into 2.5-inch strips.
Because Erica has a great tip.
And because I like to make my binding before I'm done with my quilt, or while I'm cutting
She likes to
it.
cut her binding when she's cutting her fabric.
Because, and here's why, because then you can just go ahead, put it together, and you have it ready to go. Now, I don't have enough here. I'm going to need to add to it as I go, and I've got another pile of scraps to cut down into 2.5-inch strips and join together. And I've already got it pressed in half with wrong sides together. I'm going to sew mine onto the front, roll it around to the back, and hand finish it, because I like doing that.
She likes to sit and hand stitch.
I do.
But binding is such a great, there's so many great methods to do it. You could do bias binding, because some people like to do bias binding
People
just
use
all the
bias
time.
binding for everything.
We have a great video on our YouTube page and our website that Eric and I talk. We show you how to do bias binding. It's all fabulous.
Now, a lot of quilters like 2.25 inches for their binding, and
There
we
is
have a die for that. So you like to bind at 2.25 and like to have a really super tight binding, go for it. We've got the die for it.
Okay. But that's just, I just feel like sometimes it's just such personal preference.
It really is.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Brock, what have we got going on? Do we have questions or more suggestions for us?
Yes to both. So Bellcats had the question, have you ever made a pumpkin using the orange peel die?
A three-dimensional one?
Or just,
I think that one of our experts did that.
Barbara Harper did.
Barbara Harper used the orange peel and made three-dimensional ones on a show maybe last year.
I think you're right.
I haven't
but I have not.
personally, but I've eyed it. And I think it would be fun to do with your seams on the outside so that it's like if you used like a wool or a felt, so that you had those seams, or even with your cotton, so the seams were on the outside and were kind of raggedy. It would
Then
give
you
it a
could
lot of
see it.
texture. Yeah.
That's a great question.
Make one and show us.
Please.
Another question from Pamela Owens.
Hi, Pamela.
Could you give us some ideas for how to use some dies with some large printed panels? I'm trying to come up with something for a Christmas panel.
Oh, is that what you were looking for? So I would tell you, if you're going to use a Christmas panel, I would tell you to use a cube. And maybe make like 9 patches around that panel. And if you use like the 8-inch cube, that's a 12-inch block.
Well, I would say, in my quilting head, not knowing what your panel looks like, you might want to do a narrow border and then do some pinwheel blocks with your cube.
Yeah, you can do
Because
that.
Christmas, you know, if you want to look like red and white, like that kind of look, like the peppermint candy, that would be kind of fun, and put those around, and then maybe an outer border. Depends on how big you want to build it.
You could also make flying geese to look like the tops of Christmas trees.
Or even just squares. But you might want, a lot of times with panels, when I've made them, I have done a narrow binding or a narrow border before I've started kind of a pieced outer border.
Yeah.
It just kind of gives your eye a place to rest. It kind of sets that center design off. But really, cubes would be great, depending on how big you want it to be. You know what would be cute?
What?
Either Washington's Puzzle or Mill and Stars. Those would be
were
really
just talking
cute
about
too.
Mill and
We
Stars.
were just talking about Mill and Stars and how much we love it. We haven't talked about it for a while. But Mill and Stars finishes to 8, I think.
Yes.
And Washington's Puzzle finishes to 4. So I would think that either one of those could be a great option.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay.
Question from Darlene McDonald. What's the benefit of angled pieces on the binding?
It's going to spread out the bulk. So she said, because when I put my pieces together for a binding, I do that 45-degree angle.
She does.
And that's because then when I fold it in half, that bulk of that seam is spread out. It's not, if you do a straight stitch and put 2 pieces together, then it's gonna bulk up all in the one place where they meet up, straight. But that's just personal preference. But that's why I do it whenever I make borders or bindings. I will do that joining unless there's a design reason with the fabric, because that way it's gonna spread out the bulk and it's gonna go a little bit smoother.
All right. That's a great answer. And we have one more thing we want to talk about that sometimes quilters are a little bit lazy about.
That's right.
And that is putting a label on the back of your quilt.
That's right.
Quilters, we put so much into ourselves into these projects, and it's important to put our names and the information about the quilt on it. We've even started selling some super cute little labels on our website.
We have.
Look at these. These say made by me,
These say made by grandma. Those are
superpower,
super fun.
superpower. These say, made with love.
Made with love, made by
There you
me.
go.
So it's not the full information, but it's a start, right?
Right. So, I mean, I just feel like we should start somewhere.
And these are super easy. So this one says made by me, and you sew it into your binding, really, on the back of your quilt. But it flips. So you could take a permanent marker and write a little something, something on the
could.
back of this. And then it's super simple to sew it into your border. And
Yeah.
then you've got that little tag on there.
Super cute.
So maybe made by me and then parentheses in the back, your name, in case.
Right.
Yes.
You could put your
somebody
name
else
and the
reads that and
year.
they're like, I didn't make this.
Right.
You could put, you know,
Made by Lola.
Made-
I have a die that our sister company, Custom Shape Pros, made because my grandkids call me Lola, and so it says Lola. It cuts out the words, and so I use it
You just
on the
press that
labels.
on.
I just press it on. Yeah, I put it on fusible and cut it out and stick it right on there.
but you could definitely on the back of that one write, you know, Grammy Erica Botker 2023
You totally could.
or whatever. I mean, there's not a lot of space, but it's better than not having a label on it at all because already you're, you know, especially if maybe your kids have two quilting grandmas.
What are the
You know,
odds?
what are the odds? But it could happen.
There you go. All right, quilters, as you finish your projects, you want to check out the AccuQuilt blog because Erica is a post going over the details from today's event.
That's right. AQS will also be updating their original blog posts, so be sure you check that out as well. And be sure you post your pictures of your projects and your finished projects and use that hashtag AQSews because that's how we're finding your finished projects and your progress pictures to go in next week's show. Is that next week's show?
It is next week's show and tell.
And that's how AQS is going to find those pictures as well.
All right, before we end part 3 of our quilt along for the Go Dart Around the Glorified 9-Patch Throw Quilt, we want to announce the winner of today's giveaway.
Oh, yes, indeed. The lucky winner of $100 in AccuQuilt reward points today is, drum roll please. It is Sue H. from Trabuco Canyon, California.
Congratulations.
That's right.
Sue. And Sue, I've already put $100 on your AccuQuilt reward account.
There you
It's
go.
already there today. All right, quilters, don't forget we have plenty of special offers available for you on our website.
Like this month's Die to Try, it's the Go English Paper Piecing, yeah, there it is, Jewel Petal 1-inch finish sides. Works really well with our 1-inch finish side hexagon. And it's super fun. If you've never tried English paper piecing before, we've got tons of videos on our website on how to get started. You can piece these by hand. You can machine piece them.
Yep.
You can hand piece them. You got so many options. But to get that order in, open a tab in your browser, type in AccuQuilt.com/party to see the current deals, place your order. You can also get this month's Die to Try from your local AccuQuilt retailer. Only
can.
2 places you can get it, here and your local retailer. All right, Brock, any last questions, suggestions, or?
So a couple people came in late with the winding ways.
Oh, I love winding
That,
ways.
but then the Storm at Sea fans came back.
Good job,
So
Storm at Sea.
Storm at Sea is definitely a favorite right
I think
now.
it's a big contender. I'm super excited about that. I'm
Yeah.
going to do one in a completely different colorway.
Okay.
All right, quilters, it's time for us to get ready for our next show. We hope today's show is just what you needed to inspire you to finish up your blocks for the Go Dart Around the Glorified 9-Patch project.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for watching. To learn more about your quilting craft, be sure to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for live events every Tuesday and Wednesday. You can check out the events page on the AccuQuilt website for more details on upcoming shows. And if you're looking for even more inspiration, visit our blog for exclusive tutorials filled with tips and tricks. And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.
Join us every Tuesday at 12 noon Central Time for launch parties and trunk shows. These events are filled with tips, tricks, and inspiration. Next time, we'll be live in Elkhorn, Wisconsin with a very special event.
And be sure to come back every Wednesday at 12 noon Central Time for AccuQuilt Live. We have tons of fun. Next time, it's all about show and tell as we wrap up the final AQS AccuQuilt-Along of the year. Hope to see you there.